Week 58, and we are looking at everything, or as much as we can, from San Diego Comic-Con, so stay tuned.
The Geek Week in Review.
Hello and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review, episode 58, with me, Jacob's Toys, of course, the wonderful, one and only SuperSorrell, and we have Ryan Speaks Geek back with us. Hello, Ryan.
Thunderous applause. Calm down, everyone.
No, but it has been San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, so one of the biggest weekends in geek fandom of the year, and it's been amazing because San Diego Comic-Con, obviously because the pandemic, has been gone for a couple of years. I think they had a 2-year hiatus. Is that the right word? But yeah, 2 years, wasn't it?
It's been good, but it's also been a little bit disappointing as well, hasn't it? Because so much has gone on, but they've not streamed any of it. None of it's been streamed.
Yeah, they've made waiting for it.
Yeah, they've made it a kind of, you have to be there kind of event, which I get. They've been 2 years without it. They don't want to stream it. They want everyone to go. But the world's changed since that time now.
Yeah, I'll just hop on a jet
streaming
over to San Diego because I can afford that.
The thing is, though, is that
1980s background.
If I remember rightly, it never was streamed before. And I think because we're so used to it over the last 2 years, everyone was expecting it to be streamed. But
because the world's changed.
Oh, it has. It has. And the thing is, I do agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I would have loved for it to be streamed so that I could have felt like I was part of it. But there was also something really wholesome about kind of logging into like other YouTubers and stuff that we knew were there and watching their kind of their handheld stream of it. That was a lot of fun. So I kind of enjoyed it, but it was that scrambling around trying to find who was live streaming it. So that was
so the only reasonable compromise is then, so next year they can not stream it, but they do have to pay for us to go out there. I feel like that's ticking both boxes.
The one thing for me is, and I love Hasbro to bits, but they streamed a Q&A session, but then didn't stream the Star Wars and Marvel panels.
There must be some kind of.
I think it's San Diego. I don't think it's Hasbro. I think it's San Diego as a company. No. The company Comic Con wanted it to be, come and see us event rather than see it.
It was a bit like Bullseye. Let's have a look at what you could have won.
No, shall I tell you why I think it is that? Because Paul, Power of X-Men, he hosted a panel, didn't he, with the original X-Men cast, and his wasn't streamed. It wasn't but the video was put out afterwards, but it wasn't. And knowing Paul, he would, if he could have streamed it, he would have streamed it and would sent us the links and stuff like that. But that was a really cool panel.
But there was panel as well, didn't he? He didn't post any. None of it's gone online yet, as far as I'm aware.
Did he? What did he? What is his
I don't quite know. I know he was a part of a panel because it was his first ever San Diego Comic Con appearance, like as a guest. So I know he's doing something, but none of it's gone on his channel yet. I'm guessing it will do in a few days' time. But like I say, I think it is San Diego as a company that's kind of said you have to be here to see it.
Yeah, definitely. So there was so much kind of revealed, but then at the same token, there was a lot that was kind of kept cards close to the chest because we do have a lot of other cons coming up, don't we? Hasbro PulseCon has announced that they are having a 2022 in September, or very end of September, beginning of October. We've also got D23, which is the big Disney one. So there is lots more happening in the year. So what we're going to cover in this show for anyone that's listening, we're going to go over the MCU phase 4, 5, 6 that they've announced and the titles that they've announced. We're then going to move on to kind of everything Star Wars. So all of the different lines of figures and stuff that they released are revealed. And then we will round up with the Marvel Legends panel as well, because that was quite a big one. And then at the end, we'll just talk about any other business, should we call it? Just any other bits that kind of came out from the
convention. That sounds way too much work. That sounds like too much work.
Does sound like work, doesn't it? AOB, anyone? AOB? But no, we'll talk about other stuff that happened at the con that doesn't fit into one of those. So let's go straight in, and I'm gonna get my phone out because I've got notes, because there was so much to try to memorize.
You have to
be unreal. So
read out the tune of "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel.
Oh yeah, fair enough. So MCU. So they showed us Phase 4, and they're rounding off Phase 4 with She-Hulk, which comes out next month in August, and Wakanda Forever that comes out in November, and both of those got trailers. We saw trailers for both of those. So let's talk She-Hulk first. much better than the teaser trailer. The teaser trailer got a lot of hate, but I love the way that this show looks. I think it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I was just really cool with that. You sort of got cameos from all the big names. Yeah,
the tease at the end for Daredevil.
Oh mate,
Yeah.
I have posted that everywhere and anywhere because I am so excited about that. But I did have a thought, right? And I've done a TikTok about this. I don't know if I've posted it yet. When the show goes out, I don't know if it would have been posted or not. But there is another character in the Marvel universe that wears that exact costume, and that's D-Man. And he's a real kind of like Z-list character that basically is a wrestler and a superhuman whatnot. And he wears a Daredevil yellow and red costume with a Wolverine cowl. And in all fairness, I wouldn't put it past them to have it as D-Man when we've already seen Frogman jump up and we've already seen some of the other random characters. Can you imagine if it was actually just D-Man and they were just massively like
Daredevil's getting his own series, isn't he?
Yeah, let's get to that.
Yeah.
No, I personally think
maybe Matt Murdock comes in and sues him for using his costume.
Yeah, I really do think I do think it's Daredevil. I think that we got Charlie Cox confirmed as Daredevil in Spider-Man freshman year. We've got, like you said, we've got his own series that's been announced that's called Born Again, and Vincent D'Onofrio as well in that one as well has been confirmed. So I think that we're going to. You can't have a lore-based TV show, superhero TV show, like Sorrell was saying weeks ago. You know, surely Matt Murdock has to be in this. This is his way into the MCU properly. But yeah, I think the trailer looks good.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether because she's clearly the Matt Murdock's a defense attorney lawyer. She's the person trying to sue the superheroes, isn't she? Basically, so I think. The way it's going to go is I think she's going to be against Matt Murdock in the courtroom as Matt Murdock, and she's going to be She-Hulk, obviously, as Matt Murdock. And then I think at the end of season 1 is going to be that scene we've just seen. I think the end of season 1 will show him in his full costume for the first time.
Yeah, see, I agree. I think that clip we saw was at the end of the season because she's in her costume and she's not going to get her costume at the beginning. If these shows teach her anything, she's not in kit at the beginning. But yeah, all in all, looks really cool. And Marvel Legends announced on Sunday night that they revealed the She-Hulk figure. Let's just see. I think I've actually got a picture of it. So they announced. See, look, I've got it all. So there we go. Our good friend Steve Evans shared some images of it. But there is the She-Hulk Marvel Legends figure, which finishes up the Disney wave. So we've got the Moon Knight, we've got Mr. Knight, we've got both Hawkeyes, we've got Sharon Carter, we've got the Infinity Ultron, we've got She-Hulk, we got Miss Marvel in that one as well. That was the one that I forgot about earlier, Sorrell. Ryan's got his little Moon Knight there, he's just flipping around.
I've made a Moon Knight.
So that kind of rounds up the Disney Plus wave that we're getting. So yeah, She-Hulk's going to get a figure. The other one there in Phase 4 was Wakanda Forever. Now, thoughts on that, guys?
Well, I don't know. Let's hear Ash's thoughts on what the name of that film is first. I mean, surely that's the important thing to establish. Because just before recording, Ash wanted to get Jack some facts on. And what film were you double checking on there?
Aquaman Wakanda.
Aquaman
Wakanda.
Namor is obviously the main protagonist.
Aqua Panther.
We got it all mixed up. But that trailer, let's be perfectly fair, whoever didn't kind of get a little bit emotional watching that trailer just has no soul. No soul. Like,
absolutely dead inside.
I had goosebumps within about 3 seconds, I think it was. Like literally the hairs on my arms went up. Like it was really touching. And that was a 2011 trailer.
Yeah, the bit where she says, like, you know, her husband died defending this country, her son has died defending this country. It's like, the Wakanda will always be forever kind of like, that's so powerful.
Yeah. Now they have changed Namor, his kind of origin story, because in the comic books he is the son of he's classed as the first mutant, and he's the son of an Atlantean and a human. But they've changed it so there's more of an Aztec vibe to their culture. So I don't know what they're doing with it. yeah, I think they're still going down the lines of like a human and Atlantean mix and all the rest of it. He's got the little ankle feathers which actually allow him to fly in the comic books. I don't know how those little feathers make him fly, but
the reason it's so similar to me is because like the whole thing, like the changed, obviously because of Jason Momoa, they kind of changed Aquaman, didn't they, to have more of the Maori feel to it. So they've definitely done the same sort of thing with this. They've taken Neymar, which, to be fair, not many people are overly au fait with. Let's be brutally honest. Unless you're a diehard comic fan, you don't really know who Neymar is. You've probably seen him, but you've never heard of his backstory. And I think to change his backstory and change him up a bit, it's modernizing the character more than anything. I think it'll do well.
Yeah,
he needs an update. Let's be honest.
And what's really interesting as well is that they announced on Sunday as well during the Marvel kind of recap show that was live streamed. It's like a Q&A. They announced the whole Wakanda Forever line of figures, and in that there is Neymar. There's the way that they've updated him there, and he's got the kind of like the real kind of Aztec looking things. And people online are really kicking off because he's got like a nose bone, and he's got like the stretchers in his ears and stuff, because it's to tie in with the Aztec kind of culture. And people are kicking off because he doesn't look like he did in the comic. But you know what? I'm cool with that, because I think it's and I think it's going to work really well with the Wakanda versus kind of the Aztec culture and stuff. I just think it's going to work really well. But there was a lot of thought around the Black Panther 2 film, because naturally Chadwick Boseman passed away. Then there was COVID. So there's been a few hurdles in the way, and it had to be handled really well.
I think they're using the Aztec thing very much how Aquaman used the Maori thing. It's more of they're taking the idea of the culture and then using it as a way of, like with Black Panther, they're very much laid into the whole we are African, very much. They had all the the attire and things. I think they're going for that with the Aztecs. They want them to look like the ancient Aztecs that we think of when you think of Aztecs.
Yeah, and obviously you have all the different tribes in Wakanda as well, and they've all got very individual kind of styles and looks and everything. And I think that that's really cool to see that spread out somewhere else. And naturally, to kind of go for an underwater Atlantean race, they've really got free reign to do what they want with.
But it mixes it up a bit visually. I mean, let's be honest. People keep saying about the comic stuff. I don't want stuff to be exactly the same as the comics all the time. I've got the comics.
I agree.
I kind of want.
I agree.
I want to see a live action interpretation of a comic. I don't want to see a comic that moves. I want to see what it would be like if it was in this world. How creative could we get in the real world aesthetic that we can change these things that we grew up with, and what kind of ways we can look at it. I mean, look at Batman has a different look every bloody film, and people don't moan about that too much. Just the action.
What I like, if you went into every film like Infinity War, knowing the outcome because of a comic book, there's no thrill. The idea is they need to take the idea of the comic book and then run with it for a live action to make it different, to make you want to be invested in it. If you were just reading, if it was straight up comic book on the screen, that's not fun because you already know the story.
But I like the fact that you look back at the older MCU films like Thor and stuff. Like Thor didn't look like his comic book counterpart in any version of the films. But then you saw that little flash in the Love and Thunder trailer where he's running between the trees, and his classic costume is one of those. And people are like, "Oh, look, it's his classic costume." I like that. So give us something new, and then show us classic costumes like
Loki
here and then. Yeah, Loki again is another one that did it really well. But yeah, so that's Wakanda Forever. I can't wait for this film. This is probably my most anticipated Marvel film for a long time.
It's the one I'm most worried about being disappointing.
I think this is gonna be called Wakanda Forever, but I think it's gonna focus on Riri Williams and her origin story. She's gonna be the star of the show. A bit like Doctor Strange was a Doctor Strange film, but America Chavez was the future going forward.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be cool. She's going to be cool. So that would round up Phase 4. So just in a nutshell, you've got WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Hawkeye, Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness, Moon Knight, Thor, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and Wakanda Forever. And that's your Phase 4 complete.
This is crazy.
Oh, I know. They then announced what...
I was going to say, when you're watching the She-Hulk trailer, does anyone else get a little bit excited obviously that Wong's going to be in that as well? And we're getting like Wong's coming.
Oh, I know.
Like, he just appeared in the portal and just came to her and like was talking to her and stuff.
No one is talking about that. No one is talking about that.
I think it's because it's like now it's like seeing Sam Jackson in a trailer. Not in a horrible way. Like, you know, when you see Nick Fury in a thing and you're like, at some point, it started off being like, oh, and it's like, of course Nick Fury's in it. And now Wong's become like the new Nick Fury. Like, of course Wong's going to be. I kind of expect Wong to be the one that just sort of turns up in things now. He's my new Nick Fury.
No, see, I don't agree. I don't think he's going to turn up in anything further past this. I think this is going to kind of full circle the whole Abomination being in Shang-Chi and, you know, Shang-Chi kind of tying in with them at the end. And I think that
Wong's appearance in New Way Home, all of it's tied, isn't it, in like a time loop.
I think that what we're going to see in She-Hulk is an explanation as to why Wong and Abomination were friends and why they were doing that fight. And I think that it's going to kind of go full circle there. I'd like him to turn up in future things, but I think that unless there's something set up, that to me was I'm going to get an explanation there. But that was phase 4. So then on to phase 5, we have got Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which we saw a poster for, which has got Kang on it, and it's also got Cassie in like a purple version of the Wasp suit. Only thing that jarred with me on that is that she's got trainers on, or sneakers for our American friends. It didn't quite make sense because the costume is the costume. So why would you then kind of cut the feet off to put trainers on? It's like, come on, we don't need.
There might be special trainers,
but we don't need every young Avenger, every young hero to wear trainers to kind of signify that they're the new cool.
But I will think they're adults otherwise, so I don't understand how I can tell them apart.
They've got to modernize. They've got to modernize the suits somehow.
Yeah. But essentially, without picking it apart, it was like a kind of a reissued Wasp suit. And just quickly on that one, before we do go on to phase 5, we did see at the end of the Wakanda Forever trailer a Black Panther costume of some sort. But we'll come back to that on a future. Let's do that on a future show. So you've got Quantumania as the first one. You've got Secret Invasion as a Disney Plus show, just coming in the spring of 2023. You got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in May 23. You've got Echo in summer of 23. Loki season 2. Echo. Oh. Echo. Yeah, you got me. You got Loki season 2 in the summer of 2023 at the same time as Echo. You've got the Marvel Studios presents Marvel Comics, The Marvels, Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel. And in Marvels. That's coming in July 2023. You got Blade with an official release date of November 3rd, 2023. You've then got Ironheart in the fall of 2023. So almost a full year after we see her in Wakanda Forever. But then I suppose you've got teasers and stuff like that you'll see on the way up. You've got Agatha, Coven of Chaos in winter of, it says winter 2023/24. So I'm not sure if they've completely made their mind up on that yet.
December going into January.
Yeah, possibly. You've then, but it makes sense for that to come out in October. Surely it would. Come on, let's be honest. In spring of 2024, you've got Daredevil Born Again, which is an 18-episode long Disney Plus TV show with Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, which I think is really cool.
I love the fact that it's called Born Again. I love the fact that it's called Born Again.
But you know, I was having a conversation with somebody on my Instagram, and we are talking about, you know, what the yellow suit might mean, all that kind of stuff. And they came up with a really good point, and I forget who it was. So if it was you, then drop me a comment or a message, and I'll tag you or whatever. But they were saying about how much Disney Plus has pushed the Netflix stuff since they got that on the platform, how much they've pushed it, and the whole tagline of the universe has got bigger and all that kind of stuff. So to completely ignore that, or to pretend that was a different universe and this was the 616, doesn't quite make sense. So we kind of came to the conclusion that all happened, and then we've got all this time in between and the snap and all that kind of stuff. And I think Born Again signifies more the him coming back as Daredevil, because if you remember, in the end of season 3, Bullseye took on the suit, didn't he, and kind of tarnished the suit I think Born Again is going to be kind of him finding himself again. So they'll leave everything that's happened there. But he is the only one of the Netflix characters that has got any sniff of anything going on. So I do wonder whether the Defenders are going to come into this and they're going to test the waters with how Defenders works or something. That's just my idea.
I really want Foggy to come back. I really like Foggy. Foggy's one of my favorite characters.
I think Foggy. You can't have Murdoch without Foggy. It's Foggy and Murdoch. Come on, they can't. They can't have a Daredevil TV. He could cameo.
Like the 60s.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Cameo. Go on. No, I was going to say Matt Murdock Daredevil could cameo without Foggy, but if you're going to have an 18-episode TV show, you can't have Matt Murdock without Foggy. Like you just can't.
I was going to say, let's be honest as
Murdoch
well.
and Foggy, is it? It's Murdoch and Nelson.
Rosiaro Dawson is also tied into the Ahsoka series, so she's already on staff for Disney Plus. She could appear again as the Night Nurse quite easily.
Yeah. I think that's probably, if she's tied into it, I think that's probably what has she been given a character name yet?
Well, she was Night Nurse, wasn't she?
Yeah.
No, I mean in Echo. If she's tied into it, have they given her a character synopsis or anything yet?
No.
Or have they just said she's tied into it?
No, I don't think they have it all. I'm just speculating at this point. I'm not sure if they have.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying is that because she's already on staff for Ahsoka for Disney Plus, it wouldn't make a massive leap that they could tie her back into this whole franchise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's the only one out of all the other cast members, other than Charlie Cox, that you kind of think the other guys would just fall in line if they got the gig of coming back to MCU. Come on, they're all coming back, aren't they? So Rosiaro Dawson's the only one.
Jessica Jones.
Rosie,
I would really like.
I kind of think she's like an actress in her own right that's got a lot going on. I think she's the only one that you would have to tie down, but she's already on staff. So
I would really like him to see what's his name? Finn. What's his name? Iron Fist. What was his name?
Yeah.
Danny Rand.
No, Danny. But what was the actor's name? Finn.
Forgotten.
I've got blank. But I would really like him to have an MCU stab at
Finn Jones.
Iron Fist, because I quite liked him as Danny Rand in a weird kind of way. Like I don't know, but anyway. You've then got Captain America: New World Order, which is a movie coming out in May 2024, and you've then got Thunderbolts coming out in July 2024, and then that's Phase 5 wrapped up. No. But that's Phase 5 wrapped up, and then all they've announced for Phase 6 so far is 3 things on the card. Fantastic Four, November 2024. So that's a whole 2 years away yet. In May 2025, you've got Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, which is really interesting because we've already seen Kang and Kang has been introduced now. So that means that they've got a full kind of 2.5 years worth of Kang being the big bad, which kind of works in the same timeline as Thanos when we sort of saw Thanos and how long he was in. And then directly after that, in November 2025, so bear in mind that's May that we get the Avengers Kang Dynasty. November 2025, we get Avengers Secret Wars. And that is awesome. Like, that's awesome news. And I think that's where we're going to see symbiote Spider-Man. I think, like, it's cool.
Like we're getting Secret Wars is just awesome.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that it's called Avengers Secret Wars, though. Is that just picking it? I don't like it's called Avengers Secret Wars. It was never an Avengers title. It was a Marvel crossover event.
Yeah. But I think I think Avengers for them is the collaboration
crossover event. Yeah.
But what I found really interesting is the Avengers, the Kang Dynasty and the Secret Wars, they've used the same logo in and the same font and everything for Avengers as the previous films.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's going to be a part 1, part 2 type thing.
Yeah. No, not like that. But in the respect that it's the same title as the very first Avengers film. So all of them, if you line them all up next to each other, they all look like they're like 5 Avengers, 6 Avengers films. But naturally, the roster is going to be very different in these next 2 than it was in the previous ones. Because in the previous ones, right from the first one through to Endgame, it was Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and others. Whereas now it's going to be a whole new roster, but under the same
who even would be the Avengers by now?
It's not Well, that's it. But it's not new Avengers. It's not West Coast Avengers. It's not Young Avengers.
Other
It's
Avengers.
Avengers still. So yeah. So that's interesting. But that essentially is the title card, and it's really exciting to have Phase 6 kind of up on the horizon. And what they've also called it, because we've had the Infinity Saga, they've called it the Multiverse Saga. Was it Multiverse Saga? Yeah, the Multiverse Saga, and it's the same logo in, the same font, the same, like exactly the same. Like put them side by side, they look like two of the same. And they said that the Multiverse Saga is going to kind of conclude with that Kang Dynasty. So between now and then, this is all part of the Multiverse Saga. And when you actually think of the films and the TV shows that we've had so far, that will make sense. And it kind of pulls in where people have been saying that Phase 4 has felt very disjointed. Actually, if you think of it as part of the Multiverse Saga, you can start kind of putting things in place. So I'm very excited. As a Marvel fan, Corner fan, there we go. As a Marvel fan, I'm massively excited about this. So, any thoughts on the film side of it, though?
For me, with Secret Wars, I'm thinking that Secret Wars will be the next time that you'll see other actors playing the roles of the characters. So, like you might see our Tom Holland Spider-Man on our side, but on the opposing side of the Secret Wars, you might see Andrew Garfield returning to the role of Peter Parker. Because I think Kang the Conqueror, rather than the Beyonder being the major villain of Secret Wars, I think it's going to be Kang the Conqueror himself.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be his main event.
Role,
I think he's going to be the main event player. So I think he's going to pull from the multiverse rather than from the world itself. I think he's going to pull from the multiverse. So we might end up getting some random cameos thrown in there just to pique a bit of fan interest.
Yeah, I could see that.
So like pit Spider-Man against Spider-Man. So it's going to be Tom Holland versus, Andrew Garfield. And they have to fight it out.
Yeah.
Civil War, but this time it's personal.
This time, they could then use like they could bring Iron Man Tony Stark back for a cameo because it can be Robert Downey Jr. from a different universe versus Riri Williams, and have two Iron Man face it off. Bring Chris Evans back. Have Chris Evans play the role one more time and have him fight.
Bring Terrence Howard back to play War Machine. All these wonderful decisions that we could make.
What's really interesting though is there was no X-Men announced. So we've got a card all the way up to Phase 6. Phase 6.
Haven't they announced a film though? But it's just called The Mutants now rather than X-Men.
No, that's a rumor. That is a rumor.
Was that not true? I thought that was.
No, the rumor is that X-Men's going to be classed as the Mutants, but we're already getting hints of it in like that finale of Miss Marvel, in Multiverse of Madness. Like you're seeing all those little hints of the X-Men being there, but they've now announced the slate all the way up to December without all the way up to Phase 6 without actually announcing the X-Men. But I think that's something we're going to see at D23. I think if they're going to announce the X-Men film, it will be D23 and where that slots in.
I don't think we'll ever see X-Men and the Avengers sharing the screen. I really don't.
No.
I see that the MCU will run its course with the Avengers. We'll have the new Avengers. After that, I see it running into Fantastic Four and X-Men territory. And then progressing from there for another 20 years going forward with those characters. We've already had 10 years worth of Avengers. People are starting to get fatigued with what we've got right now.
Yeah.
So if we sort of end the Avengers and slowly fade into Fantastic Four / X-Men, because those comic books cross over so regularly, I think people it would give that sense of excitement back to the franchise a little bit.
You couldn't even have X-Men versus Avengers like that comic book because that has so many of the big players that we've now lost anyway. So you couldn't even kind of had that on the cards. But yeah, no, I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right there.
Yeah, I do agree, and I have to confess, when I saw the slate, half of me was excited, and the other half of me was like, "Oh, okay." I know sounds really bad, I know, because I am a nerd and everything, but I've already got to the point now where there aren't really many Marvel things where I'm like, I want to go back and watch it. It's probably about 6 films that I would want to go and rewatch. It's probably about 6 or 7 films I rewatch on a semi-regular basis, or would be my go-to if I fancy watching a Marvel film. there's some that I don't think I'll probably watch again in the next sort of 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7 years. You know, I just don't think I'll revisit a lot of them.
See, I am the
Boys,
opposite.
you know
I've
much.
rewatched everything.
Do you know what the sad part is about all this, boys?
What?
This next slate of films isn't for us. We're the old guard that had Captain America, Iron Man, Thor. We grew up with the original Avengers. This is our children's generation that have grown up with Riri Williams. They've grown up with Spider-Gwen. They've grown up with Miles Morales. They didn't grow up with Peter Parker. The new generation is taking over the franchise, basically.
Yeah,
we're the old guard
that
has to give it up now a little bit.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I'm one of them bizarre fans that I'm kind of like, yeah, bring me Miles Morales. Like, ship out Peter Parker, bring me Miles Morales. Like, I'm good with that.
Because I think when they finally get to the X-Men, I don't think it's going to be the X-Men that we've always wanted to see on the screen because they've done that and it didn't work. Well, it worked to a certain degree for the first generation. I think the next generation of X-Men is going to be based on the modernized versions of the X-Men, not the ones that we're used to.
You don't think we're going to get... Yeah, but there's lots of talk about Wolverine and who's going to play
Wolverine.
Wolverine.
There is, because everyone's excited for Wolverine, but I think if anything, it'll be a cameo. I don't think we'll ever see a franchise with him like as the lead ever again. Because we had Hugh Jackman, who can take over that role?
Yeah, but like you said, it's for a new generation. So we're looking at those old films. They don't...
But rather than cast Wolverine, because the next generation didn't grow up with Wolverine, they grew up with X-23. They did,
but Wolverine still, I think, even in young generation, Wolverine is still.
I'm just wondering whether
Wolverine's just one of those characters that will always be there. Like, no matter how much change Star Wars, there'll always be talk of Darth Vader. You know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether they'll go for a more modernized X-Men as well, with the fact that they're now going in that direction. Would they bother going back 30, 40 years and giving us Cyclops again, or are they going to?
Like we said at the beginning, though, we don't want the same thing again and again. So I think that's a good thing because it needs to keep evolving. Because, like I said, I saw that slate and was just like half excited and half going like, "Fuck me!" Like I haven't got enough time to watch all the things I want to watch now. And now it just seems like this is going to be 90% of my viewing has to be Marvel to try and catch up with everything. I've now accepted for the first time that I'm not trying to keep up to date with Marvel anymore because I just can't. So like I've fallen behind on like Miss Marvel. I have never finished all the Netflix stuff still. And I thought I'm not seeing until Thursday, mainly because I was away, but also just because there's just too much to catch up on, you know. And I want to watch some other non-Marvel programs.
This is what I'm kind of getting at. Do you not think like if they announced a film with Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey, we're all gonna go, oh, not again, here we go. But if they announced a film with Emma Frost as the headmistress and the New Mutants and brought some of that aspect into it, the Hellfire Club, and kind of stayed away from what we'd seen previously, make it about the new X-Men, and then maybe fade in a couple of old cast members like Hugh Jackman who might don the claws for the MCU one more time and have him as a cameo role.
If he does, it'd be for Deadpool. There would be no, the only minuscule chance of Hugh Jackman coming back would be for Deadpool.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Sorry,
right, but let's move on let's move on from MCU. So we're obviously going to attack all of those as they come out and we start seeing teaser trailers. But the next ones on the show will be Miss She-Hulk is the first one out, followed by Wakanda Forever. So for the rest of this year, at least, they're the two main shows that we're going to be talking about on the show. So let's move on to a galaxy far, far away and talk Star Wars.
Star Trek.
Mate, no. I'm a
Trekkie and a Wars guy.
Yeah, you guys. That's just a weird combination. You guys take a lead on this because Star Wars is your domain.
Yeah, it's so Star Wars is this film is set in space, right? Like, and
where are we going first? We're going Black Series. Or we going
Let's do Black Series first because I think that had the most Black Series in regards to reveals. I think
it did. It had a ridiculous amount of reveals. Let me just put this into order. Okay, so we'll start with
the first order.
So the new wave of Black Series that are going to be the first series that are not going to be in plastic. They're going to be the new cardboard versions. That's going to feature Miggs Mayfield in his classic outfit, Luke Skywalker from Mandalorian 2, HK-87, Grogu, and Axe Wolves. They're the main new next wave that are coming out basically as a wave, all in cardboard packaging.
Just very quickly, actually, on that packaging thing, didn't Hasbro put in one of the panels about the fact the wave packaging going forward? So like the retro collection, vintage collection, those retro ones with the little bubble, the retro bubbles, they are staying plastic bubbles, but things like the Black Series are the things that are going to be moving to card. So they will still be keeping, but it's going to be fully recyclable plastic on the bubbles and everything like that. But they've confirmed now, because everyone was bitching and moaning about the vintage collection going to be on. But that's what they've confirmed, isn't it? Just for all you listeners out there.
That's the same with whether it's G.I. Joe or Marvel as well. If it's classed as that retro packaging, which is all about the box rather than the figure, then it's going to be on those fancy back, packaging packets, basically, the card backs. If you're a Black Series fan and Marvel Legends regular fan, sadly you are going to be going to the new inbox style of packaging. But that's just how the cookie crumbles, shall we say.
They're doing it across all of it. Let's be honest. I mean, it's one of the things that I get it. I do get it, and it was always going to go somewhere. But they did put out a press release, didn't they, about saying that there are certain, like you were just saying, that people have to kind of just deal with it. But on certain lines, this is the way forward. On other lines where the packaging is part of the product, then they're keeping with it. So there's not really anything to complain about. Like, I got in a big kind of debate with somebody on social media, because they were saying about how rubbish it was and how people can take it back to the store and like figure swap it and then just take it back because stores won't check it and that. And I'm like, yeah, but if the world's moving forward, because things are in closed packets, then stores are going to have to change their policies. They're going to have to check boxes, because you can't put that on the people producing the figures. You have to put that on the retailers selling them. So if they're returning them and not even checking the box, you wouldn't do that with a television. You wouldn't have somebody bring a television box or a PlayStation 5 box to the store and go, oh yeah, it wasn't what I wanted, give me my money, and not check it. So with these things, it's going to be the same.
This is more of an American issue as well. In the UK, we don't have this issue, because if an item goes back to the store, in America, from my understanding, is if there's nothing wrong with the product, it goes back on the shelf. Whereas in the UK, it would go to one of those style like pallets, like used pallets, where you can buy them online and stuff. We don't if anything's returned by a customer, it goes back to factory. It doesn't go back to store, as far as I'm aware.
No,
that's my understanding anyway.
We're much more English about it. We basically put it in some sort of queue system.
Yeah, somebody else has touched this item and get it away.
Yeah, put it in a queue.
So other Black Series figures were the Gaming Greats line, which we're getting they're both from the new Jedi Survivor game from Cal Kestis. So we're getting the Security Droid and the Battle Droid. Then we're getting the Credit Collection, which is now featuring a different style of credit, which I think is quite fun. So the first bundle of figures came with the Imperial credits, the big long silver ones. This one's coming with the triangular Republic credits, either triangular or little circles. And we're getting basically the Boba Fett style figures. So we're getting Tusken Raider, Mandalorian from Tatooine, Dark Trooper, Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka Tano. And they'll be coming in the new credit collection, which is based.
The credit collection is. I really do like the coins. I really want the credits, because I love the little replica type things. I just don't want the figures. And I would actually, if they did that separately, if they just sold the credit things in packs, I'd buy them.
So get yourself to doubleboxtoys.co.uk, and Galaxy's Edge now sell the credits. So you can buy anyone
listening, that was not a setup for an advert. I appreciate how much that sounds like I set that up there. Jake's just sitting there flashing his credits at me.
I've got this one. This is literally the bottom of a box. I don't know what to do with it. Can't even display
Give it to Ryan. Give it
to Ryan. Ryan would
Rubbish.
Rubbish. What was the coins of the squid people? Is it called flan or something?
Say again. So I was busy throwing my credits.
Sorry, the currency of the squid-like people in Star Wars, was that called flan or something? It was called something.
Yeah, the Mon Calamari flan.
Mon Calamari flan. You can buy like a whole pack of them from Galaxy's Edge now. They also have Republic credits.
Me hungry.
They have all the different versions of the different packaging styles of the credits. Basically, you can buy them. So they're all on Double Box Toys right now if you want to get them. Other than that, the other thing that was announced was the Darth Vader Force Effects Elite lightsaber based on the new Kenobi television series.
What was the price tag on that?
Yeah, $399.
Like what?
The price tags on all these things, the credit collection figures we were just talking before it came on, has gone up. And I know that we had to expect a certain price increase, but I think I'm struggling to see the justification with this much of a price increase.
But
especially
they've
when
just had a failed HasLab.
I know.
Like
This
there
is
must
why I
be
laugh.
somebody. There must be somebody at Hasbro kind of going, oh man, we've got to announce. This has just failed, and then our big reveal at San Diego Comic Con is another lightsaber. Like, they didn't want the first one. Like what?
But the annoying thing is, this lightsaber is going to be. I've just got the official price now. It's $278.99, right? So it's not cheap, and it's only the Darth Vader single lightsaber from Kenobi. It hasn't changed since the original New Hope movie. So you can basically get the one at Disney. It's not a Force effect, admittedly. It doesn't have the cool features that this one does, but it lights up and does the clash noises. And that one can be bought from Disney right now for less than $200. They're competing against themselves. I don't understand.
Yeah.
This is what I don't get. Hasbro are competing against Disney. Disney owns both licenses and are fighting amongst themselves. I don't understand.
This will show me. Nah. What?
That's what it feels like, isn't it? But then the best thing ever to be announced, I'm sorry, but it is the best announcement ever. We're getting Halloween figures. Screw Christmas. We're getting Nightmare Before Christmas right now. And we're getting a clone trooper with Halloween spooky attire. And we're getting a Wookiee werewolf.
I hate how much I actually like them. I like them. I didn't really get the Christmas ones that much, but these ones I actually am like, oh, I don't collect that shoes, but I kind of just to be part of my Halloween display. I'm like,
I've been retweeting so many people this weekend that have been going, who are these for? I'm like, me. These are made for me.
The thing is that like I just I get it, but I don't like it's cool. Like the Halloween ones look cool. Like seeing a clone trooper with like sprayed on like skeleton and seeing a Wookiee as like I get it. I totally get it. But
the Disney Droid collection have been doing it for years and making stupid money. That's why. So the ones that are released as a part of the Droid Factory collection have been making Christmas droids and Halloween droids for about the past 7 years. And they are worth so much money on eBay right now.
Do you know
those figures sell silly money, don't they?
I shut someone up completely on an argument earlier on a thread about this, and they were having about pop at this. And the guy's comment was, this is what Disney does. It's ruining Star Wars by making stuff like this and blah blah blah. And I went, sorry, can I just jump back to the Star Wars Holiday Special and the crotch C-3PO sellotape dispenser from 1985, the Ewok soap on a rope where we wash our balls with an Ewok's face. Sorry, so you're going to tell me that now this is too far, but everything else has been at this point has been fine. Like Jar Jar Binks, where you can literally eat the tongue is the lollipop. So basically, it looks like you're getting off with Jar Jar Binks. They were fine, but now we have a Halloween figure. People are going, yeah, that's Disney ruining that. It's ludicrous. Yeah, it's blah blah blah. Pick your battles. Just and the other thing is, if you really don't want it, just don't buy it. Solved your problem.
Ryan, do you want to jump on the 3 3/4 inch stuff?
Oh, thanks. And now back to me with the weather. So yeah, we have got the vintage collection, which is good. So if I remember correctly, let's see if I can do this from my mental memory, because I know Ash has got it up on the screen, but I do not. We have got Luke Skywalker from Mandalorian to Electric Boogaloo. We have got Cal Kestis from the Jedi game that's not out yet, but he has got finally we've got a 3.75 inch BD, which is good, which I think is articulated somehow, which is pretty impressive considering the size. That's what she said. We've got what else have we got? I'm trying to think. Okay, I'm going to admit defeat now. Come on, hit me with the other ones. What am I missing?
The Clatoonian Raider.
Yep, which is a repack of, I think, from the ATST that they did.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much all they wrote on those ones. And then they gave us the Boba Fett ship.
Yes, Boba Fett Starship, which I can't wait for the fanboys to be upset about the fact they didn't put Slave One on a box, because nothing says child's toy like writing slave. So
Didn't we already have this shit once before?
Yeah,
Have we already had this?
Yeah, but it's going to come back again, because you know what Star Wars fans are like. Both Star Wars fans are either amazing or just should be on fire. So it's really well painted.
We've thrown some sand at it, and now it's the Tatooine version.
Yeah, exactly. It does come with a packing figure, but it'll probably be way more than what the last release was.
Do the Star Wars fans complain about these versions though?
Yeah, Star Wars fans complain about everything, Jake. Even if Star
I know that they complain about everything.
Give them exactly what they want. They go.
Oh, I know. Star Wars fans complain
exactly what we want.
They complain about Star Wars, but what I mean is that, like, I just mean, like, do they? Because with a lot of other figure lines, like when you get a repaint or something, people like really kick off. But with Star Wars, you seem to have so many. Like with the Obi-Wan show, there were so many different versions of Obi-Wan in different clothes. I was like, who?
Star Wars fans do this thing where we go, oh my god, this is so bad. This is just a repaint. Oh my god! And then Hasbro take it away, and we go, why are we taking it away? I wanted to buy that figure. It was my favorite. You cannot win. You can never win the argument with a Star Wars fan. We'll either like it or hate it, or both at the same time.
The complaints are back and in greater numbers. So we had that sort of, and we had some pipeline reveals as well for vintage. So interestingly, we've had gaming greats for the Star Wars Cal Kestis for the new game that isn't even out yet, but we still haven't actually had one for the game that has been out for years, and that we have the bad guys from. But we're getting one. I mean, I'm not complaining, because I'm just glad we're finally getting one, and that we're getting a 3.75 inch scale BD1, Teeny BD, as I'm going to call him. So Teeny BD is going to be there, which is going to be awesome. So they've done some pipeline reveals, and hopefully they'll be good. Obviously, we've got the big Jabba the Hutt throne room playset, which is basically going to be a HasLab, but they've just decided to release, which is much smarter. And you know, it looks amazing. So I think that's it for the vintage collection. I can't remember what the pipeline stuff was. I mean,
so the pipeline for the Black Series was Repack City. So basically, Return of the Jedi figures are already with you in your collections right now, but we're going to repack them on a card back for your enjoyment at $28.99 per figure. And we're going to repack you. We're going to repack you the same figures you got at San Diego Comic Con 4 years ago, and we're going to give you the lovely price tag of $28.99 per figure, including a Wicket. Wicket is the only new figure in the line, and the rest are repacks.
Nice. And I think the vintage collection's not far off that. But we did get some retro collection news, which is really exciting for Ryan alone. I'm
excited for this one, actually, to confirm, mate. I like this one.
Do you remember a little while ago we talked about the fact they did the 6 A New Hope figures that they had done they were re-released them in that special box as a set, and I said that, you know, we talked about whether they would do it again in the future, and I didn't think they would. I'll hold my hands up, I was completely wrong, because they have. And not only that, the thing that people have been really PO'd about is the fact they've never done the black metal C-3PO and R2-D2. And what have Hasbro done? They've listened, and they've actually gone, yeah, fair enough, and they've given basically to make the first 12 figures. So this is going to have, I can't remember the right now, so it's R2, C-3PO, Tusken Raider, Jawa, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Death Squad Commander, which they probably will rename, because they might change. I don't remember if they're changing the name on it, but I know that sometimes they don't like the name, that it being Death Squad Commander. It might be like Death Star Commander.
Look at the press release to tell you. What have they called it in the press release? Let's have a look.
But the droids are going to be back metal, which previously just can't do anymore. So that's nice. So between those two box sets, you will have the reproduction of the very first 12.
No, he's definitely called the Death Squad Commander.
Oh, fair play. They're committed to it. That's good though. That just shows you again that they listen to people crying. So that's going to be really good, and I am really happy, because I mean the thing is that we've seen the VAC metal as well open now for future things that come out. So there's no reason why we potentially couldn't get a retro Mando in VAC metal armor. Could be quite cool. But then you've got the Return of the Jedi anniversary retro collection series coming out, and I'm going to keep talking because I know Jake's not too bothered about the Star Wars retro stuff. But the so retro for Return of the Jedi coming out, and if I remember correctly, again, Ash, do correct me if I'm wrong. So it's going to be Han Solo and Endor outfit.
Yep.
Lando in skiff outfit.
That's the one.
Leia in Bosch disguise. Bosch, whichever one it is. Mighty Boosh. Mighty Boosh. Bit of Boosh for the lads. The Emperor.
Yeah.
Good. Biker Scout, I will buy many. And who will I can do this?
Wicket.
I can do this. It is Wicket. Oh, it is Wicket.
It is Wicket, yeah.
Oh, fantastic, cool. Which is going to be really good because I sense lots of custom Ewok coming on from my way. So they're beautiful, and the first thing people are now going to be asking is who's the mystery figure going to be, and also unfortunately who's going to be the weird prototype color thing, which I don't really get, but that will come out inevitably. But I am looking forward to seeing what the sort of potential board game type inclusive packing figure, the one that they always do, which is a new mold. So that's going to be very interesting to potentially see. Yeah, so it's good to see the retro collection getting some decent love this time around, and nice to see some things we weren't expecting. So just a return to VAC metal. You just don't see VAC metal painting from a lot of toy companies anymore. So yeah, 3.75 inches. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan.
Do you think they're holding on to anything for D23?
Yes.
Loads.
Anything
I think
particular?
I think there will be a little bit more for the retro thing. I think we'll find out what the potential. Maybe we'll see something else, but I think the main thing will be vintage collection and Black Series, that they'll have things that they've. Because I think there'll be a lot of maybe Cash and Endor, and plus also, so someone saw the card backs of one of the figures that's released recently, and it actually had some of the vintage collection figures, and it has a character whose name I can't remember, but she's on it, and I'm guessing she's from the Cassian Andor series, and they had
Val.
a Cassian Andor, Val, that was it. So I reckon they'll be officially shown at probably D23, I reckon.
Yeah.
Along with an updated, probably another trailer for Andor or something.
Yeah.
So interestingly, Hasbro aren't at D23. Hasbro have got HasCon, and Disney are basically putting all the Lucasfilm and Marvel film stuff out at D23. So there'll be no figure news at D23 because Disney want to focus on their own Disney Parks merchandise. So we're going to get the HasCon, which is like a month later, basically. It's like within a month or something.
So
that's
trailers
quite good,
at D23, figures at HasCon.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's quite good. Whereas obviously, for us with the Marvel side, we had a couple of Black Panther figures one day. We then had a trailer. We then had other Black Panther figures the next day, and it was all very. So I think that's quite good to sort of see those trailers and then have almost a month of anticipation of what we're going to see and what we're going to get for
speculation.
Star Wars. That's
what
exciting.
we're going to get out the trailer in figure form, that kind of thing.
I honestly think retro. I think if they were to, because it's the return of the Jedi anniversary coming up, I honestly think if they were to reproduce the Ewok village with a bunch of Ewok vintage figures,
we said this, didn't we?
That would sell like.
I would lose my shite.
Exactly.
We did say that.
That is
it last week?
Because it's those. If you ask most it was last week. I think because if you ask most collectors, that is their Grail piece or their would-be Grail piece. That is the one that either most collectors have and never let go of, or collectors want.
I'm so in love with it that I went and bought the repurposed Robin Hood Kenner one to make a double Ewok village. Ewok City.
It's like mine. I got mine.
Ewok Metropolis.
Mine is stupidly broken, but I love it because it's the goddamn Ewok village. It's just because of what it is. I don't care if it's beaten up. It's the Ewok
When
village.
I was a kid, it was the absolute coolest thing. Because I was like, forget about play features as well with playsets, and I promise I won't go off on too much of a tangent because we've got so much to cover. But so with the Ewok Village playset, but it was one of those things. Now I look back at when people say about play features on playsets, when I look at the Tantive Hallway or the Bespin Carbon Freezing Chamber or the Navarro Cantina set, I kind of go, they're not playsets, they're display sets.
Yes,
that's the difference. They're display sets, but playsets, because like the Ewok Village had like the working lift, it had the little slide bits, it had the boulder, it had the net trap, it had the little fire spit which you could put figures on and cook them, which is weird. But you had all those play features.
A playset is not a playset unless it's got a secret trapdoor that falls into a cage.
Yes, 100%, hands down.
That qualifies it as a playset.
The thing is with Ewok Villages, it wouldn't take a lot of plastic to reimagine it at all. Probably the same amount of plastic that went into the Fantasy 4 would make an Ewok Village. It's not that big, really.
And surely Black Series or Retro Line or just Star Wars Hasbro in general have to look at their HasLabs. They have to look at the popularity of their HasLabs, and the big ones, like we said last week, the ones that are successful are the vintage line ones, or or if you were going to go into a retro line one, like the Black Series ones, the props and replicas, they're not successful because the Star Wars fans don't want them. Star Wars fans want the old stuff. They want the 3 3/4. You know, that's what they want. So surely it would be a slam dunk.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying having a 12-inch Rancor would be amazing, but I don't know where to put the damn thing. But if you give me a 6-foot version of a Starship, I'm all over it and I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Star Wars fans, that's how they are. If you give them a play set and something to put the figures on or in, that's all they need.
I've still got my Star Wars Episode 1 Queen Starship.
There you go.
It was one of my Grail pieces when I was a kid. I've never been able to part with it because it was just so awesome.
Yeah.
My point exactly.
Completely agree.
His part now.
But yeah, I think Ewok Village as the next HasLab, because they've got to have one announced soon. They've got to have one ready. I would have said that Hasbro PulseCon, they're going to announce a new Star Wars HasLab. That's when they would announce it, or just before, so that it finishes at Hasbro PulseCon.
Start it now for October for the HasCon. End it just before we get the Star Wars, what do you call it, celebration, so they can so that they can make a big deal at celebration that, oh my god, we made it, this is the thing we're making, and have it on display ready to go at the celebration event. With it being Return of the Jedi as well, that was majorly filmed over here in Nottingham and stuff. It was majorly filmed over here. Was all them scenes?
I just want to watch Return of the Jedi now. We've been talking about it.
If they do a lot of I think a lot of Return of the Jedi merch will appear at that event, because the fact that it's in England, the film was majorly filmed over here. I think that's going to be a big selling point for it.
Was it Pinewood Studios?
Pinewood Studios, yeah.
I've been there. There's actually a parking space at the front for Harrison Ford, like reserved for Harrison Ford. We did one of the films I worked on. We had a fit in there or something, and it was at the time The Force Awakens was taking place. And I walked through, and I was late to the fitting.
Hey, good your ass on my spot.
Well, the first thing is I walked up and I was like, "Oh, look at that! That's cool. That's really that's neat. They've got like a reserved for Harrison Ford permanent space." But then I went in, and the receptionist was like, "Oh yeah, they're through in whatever." And I walked and I went left instead of going right. And I kid you not, I turned around the corner and there was the Millennium Falcon. And I was just like, oh wow, like this is amazing. And I went to get a picture, and then a security guard found me and was like, you're that way. And I was like, I don't know my left from right. Sorry, so
if you go all the way to the car park and go all the way to bay number 792, you'll find that it says reserved for SuperSorrell on it. I may have spray painted that on it myself, but it's still there.
And then at the end of it,
really invested in that until he said that. I was really invested. Going, okay. And then you're like, reserved for SuperSorrell. Oh, son of a bitch.
But on a serious note, the guys at Hasbro, and we love Hasbro on this show. This is never a knock to Hasbro, but the guys at Hasbro on the Star Wars team have to be looking at the HasLab projects and going, right, what can we do that is a definite win? That is because 2 for 2 now, they've not backed. And I think the most insulting thing, I don't know if you guys go on Hasbro Pulse very often, but they have like a HasLab tab, and you can go on there and it shows you all the previous projects, and it says like in bold whether it is backed or not funded, and it's kind of like Star Wars not funded, Star Wars not funded, and it's like, come on. And you've got G.I. Joe releasing the Hiss tank thing, and it just blew up, and just, oh yeah, we're gonna give you this, we're gonna give you this, we're gonna give you this. Like, Star Wars must be looking at it and going, right, can we do an AT, or is it AT or whatever it is you call it, but people pronounce it differently in different parts of the galaxy, let's be honest. But let's give them that, or let's give them the Ewok Village, or let's give them something that they're gonna really want.
AT-AT or Ewok Village, you've got it on your hands, because they're the two pieces that most collectors want. Give a recreation of one of those and you're gonna make a lot of people happy.
Yeah,
definitely. Throw in a cardboard background, and then
and some bones.
That's the funny thing with the Rancor. Everyone kicked off about a cardboard background, but if you created the Ewok Village and gave you a cardboard background, everyone would love it, right? Yeah. That'd be like, it's a cardboard background Ewok Village.
I think it's because the background shouldn't be a reveal. The background should just be there
in the box. Yeah, it should be already with the box. It shouldn't be a reveal.
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah.
That's kind of like going like
20,000 backers, and we're gonna give you a cardboard background.
You got to think
with the TV going, like doing the backing, and then going, guys, we've included the plug. Whoa!
No, Mate, don't talk about Apple phones because they don't include the plug anymore. It's not even a joke
That's
you can make.
Apple. I mean, that's middle class
No.
wankery at its finest.
Should I
Bloody
tell you
Apple.
what? I'm just updating my new phone.
Ugh,
But
Apple.
shall we? There is one thing though that with that, when they announced that cardboard background, that was the same as going, okay, hit 20,000 backers on tier 2, and we're going to increase the price. Like it's like it literally was that, and it was kind of, but yeah. So anyway, so that was Star Wars, yeah.
I'll say the thing about the great thing about the Ewok village and stuff is it wouldn't, because the figures are only small. Surely it wouldn't take a lot of tooling just to keep repainting that same mold, more or less different colors.
No, they could give you
a different head on the body. It's all it is, isn't it? Come on.
It almost like a Lego set. You know, when you get a Lego set, the bigger the Lego set gets, the more minifigures it comes with. And you get something like, you know, the Death Star Lego set that comes with about 15, 20 minifigures.
It should literally be the Ewok village, right? That is your standard. We'll meet the backers, we'll give you the village.
I've got
you meet 10,000 backers, we'll give you Logray. You give us 20,000 backers, we'll give you Wicket. 30,000 backers, and just keep adding a different
style
figure on.
Ewok layer.
Yeah, and then to round it off at the very end, add a catapult and a flying machine. Boom! Yeah. You've won it.
Yeah.
And the helmets of stormtroopers to play drums on.
Yeah.
And Marvel, the Marvel
so much
panel,
to do with it.
The Marvel panels still have the best-selling HasLab to date, you know, that they still have that with the Sentinel. But the Ewok Village really could be a good contender for that, I think.
Because the Ewok Village could still create TVC figures for that. In 5 years' time, they could still be giving you the Force Ghost of Anakin, Yoda and Obi-Wan. They'll still give you C-3PO and his, in his little chair. They could keep adding things to the playset to give it value over the next few years.
Or even to the extent of, if you're saying about the Stormtrooper drums, like, can you imagine that as a, like, not the deluxe figures, but what are they when they come with like an explosion
they did
piece?
do it actually. They did it as a little set quite a few years ago. They did it, and like, but they could easily re-release it with a new Ewok in it, and just.
What I mean is, if they were doing, they could do those, they could put into production those sets, and because they had already given you the village, they would make sense. So it's like what Marvel are doing at the moment. They've done the Galactus. They gave us 3 tiers, which were the 3 of the Heralds. They've now given us a 2-pack with other 2 Heralds, and they've given us another 2 Heralds as single releases. They all go with Galactus, but you don't have to have Galactus to want those figures, and it would work in the same way that they could pump so much out, but it wouldn't necessarily have to. You wouldn't have to have it in order to have it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. As daft it sounds, like a log funeral pyre with Darth Vader laid on it with a melty helmet and stuff.
I've got one of those.
All over that shit.
Trash Compactor does one in vintage style. And he sent it to me. I've got to paint it up and stuff, but it actually has a light up, molten coloured Darth Vader that goes in the flames. It's insane. When I do the review, and I'll send you a link. But anyway, we got to move on because
sorry, we're on a tangent.
Right. Okay. So let's go on to Marvel then. So Marvel gave us.
We haven't even touched on Marvel yet. Jesus.
No, I know. We're gonna have to go quick on Marvel. There was a couple of other things when it comes to Marvel, but TV shows that we didn't touch on that I'm going to just quickly go over now. So Charlie Cox has obviously we've confirmed that he was back in, and he's going to voice Daredevil in Spider-Man freshman year. They also announced that there's going to be a second season of Spider-Man freshman year, officially titled Spider-Man sophomore year. So they've already planned the second series, and there's a lot of controversy. No, not yet. But there's a lot of controversy online because they've announced some of the villains in this freshman year, and you've got like the Dr. Octopus, you've got Scorpion, you've got Norman Osborn kind of being the mentor to Peter Parker. And for all intents and purposes, it's Tom Holland's Peter Parker doing school before we met him in the MCU. But then they've thrown all these characters into it that aren't in the MCU. So there's a big debate at the moment as whether it's canon or whether it's a different universe or whatnot. So, but they've essentially, what they're doing is they're giving us the backstory to how he got his powers, how Uncle Ben died and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to see his journey up to the MCU. So we've got that one. So that's freshman year and sophomore year. They've also announced that What If season 2 is coming out, and that's going to be streaming in the early 2023 on Disney Plus. I Am Groot, the shorts, they released a trailer for that.
Yeah.
And that's coming out on the 10th of August on Disney Plus, and that's just a lot of little shorts of him being Groot. X-Men 97, they kind of announced that it's coming in the fall of 2023, and they also announced kind of the lineup of the X-Men that we're going to see. So there's all the familiars, Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, Jubilee, Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey and Beast, but then they've also shown us a few extras like Nightcrawler, Cable, Morph, Bishop, Forge, and such, and Magneto in a really cool looking outfit as well.
Yeah, it did look good.
They've also announced Marvel Zombies, the official continuation from that What If episode that we saw, and they gave us a full roster kind of lineup, as you can see there. I don't know if you gents saw that. Did you see that image? Yeah, so you've got the likes of Shang-Chi, Miss Marvel, Death Dealer, Red Guardian, Katie, Kate Bishop, Yelena, and my favourite, Jimmy Woo. Jimmy Woo is in Marvel Zombies.
Would be going to beat up almost Fallout.
Yeah, he's going to be. It's going to be rated M for mature, so it's going to be kind of a more
aggressive. Aggressive.
I want Korg to show up just because he can't be bitten because he's a rock. And I want that to be. Really I want that to be his whole character.
He used to have lots of friends, but then they kept getting bitten, and now I'm just sitting here alone. And they're not much conversation, but they're plenty around.
I can't get bitten because I'm a rock.
He should rate a whole episode like when he's like, I'd love to be a zombie, but I just can't because I'm a rock. I have no blood. I'm just wondering.
I like to pretend sometimes.
I've got lots of company, but they don't talk to me much.
That would work, wouldn't it?
That was good.
Don't give them ideas.
Like it's what?
Don't give them ideas. That would literally be on. He sat there listening, going, "Yeah, that is coming."
My little zombie impression.
My little zombie. Just call it My Little Zombie. My Little Zombie.
I'd like to be a zombie, but I can't get bitten, so sometimes I just pretend. Right, so there we go. What I do like though is that the Jimmy Woo figure is what?
That is the sound clip of this episode. I want to be a zombie.
The Jimmy Woo figure, you managed
to make that in the accent.
Yeah, I know.
That was actually quite impressive.
I was there. I love my Korg accent.
Sorry, go on.
So Jimmy Woo is actually holding a playing card. That's kind of become his signature thing, hasn't it? Throughout. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Marvel team like to tease upcoming figures, and they did show us a hand holding a playing card, and everyone was going, new Gambit, new Gambit, new Gambit. But then we saw that Jimmy Woo picture, and it's him holding a playing card in almost the same way that the hand was in the figure. So I think it's going to be a Marvel Legends zombie wave, and that hand holding a card is actually a Jimmy Woo figure, which is really cool because if the head sculpt's good enough, you can then pop it on a suit and you've got a Jimmy Woo, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, so that's Marvel Zombies, X-Men 97. Let's actually get on to the figures. So there was a lot. There was a lot that was revealed, but then at the same token, there was not a lot revealed, if that makes sense.
There was like 3, weren't there, that got officially announced, and the rest were kind of pipeline, weren't they, really?
Yeah. So the ones that went up for pre-order the very next day was a retro carded Scorpion, which is essentially an exact repaint of the Scorpion we had a few years ago, but painted in the animated style colors, which is cool because that one that we got a few years ago had the full green face. A lot of people painted the skin on the mouth, including myself, and now they're giving us the actual version. The one that everyone knew was coming, which was an animated style Beast. But interestingly,
go on.
I was going to say, interestingly, it's not in the VHS box, and it's on a.
That's my point. I was going to say, do you not think they're milking us for one more out of this?
Yeah,
so
100%.
They basically released it's the original Beast with a new head, but it's not quite the animated head, is it? It's not got the pupils. No. It's not quite humanoid yet. It's still beastie. They could still release that VHS version of that exact figure with a different head that has got the humanoid face to it.
Yeah, and that's what I think is going to happen. That is what I think is going to happen.
The one that's on the card back, basically, they're not giving us.
Yeah, it's not, just to give you, there's the head of the one that they're giving us.
So
that's the closed mouth head.
To be fair,
but then on the card,
it does include.
Back,
yeah. But to be fair to them, it does include the other original head of the original Blue Beast. So they are giving us an updated Blue Beast, but with and they are giving us the original head for the original figure as well. So I'm not grumbling, but it's still not the animated Beast yet.
What I'm pleased about is that they did do a version of the Grey Beast, and they gave us a much friendlier face. And I'm pleased that they've not just repainted that; they have given us a better blue Beast. So I'm pleased.
Because they're going to paint that one blue, stick it on that one, and put that in the VHS packaging
100%,
with those accessories.
100%. That's what they're going to do. There will be a VHS, or there will be a
hybrid of the three packs, isn't it?
There will be another repaint of this Beast at some point.
I say a hybrid of the 3 packs that'll include the book, the glasses, the 2 pieces of laboratory kit, and the coat, and then it'll be the friendlier version of Beast painted blue with that blue Beast in a VHS box all together.
Yep.
It'll probably be a VHS deluxe because of the amount of accessories.
It'll be the VHS player.
It'll be the player.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah, maybe. They did have a VHS player on their display, so that might have been a foreshadow. But not a cardboard one, like an actual VHS player. And I was like, out of all the figures you've got out, I'm more impressed that somebody dug that out. Like, where did that come from? So that was the Beast. Now, that went up for pre-order as well. You also got, I touched on this earlier, but you got the Heralds of Galactus 2-pack, which has got Marvel's Fallen one, not to be confused with the Silver Surfer one that we got recently, and also a Tesseract. And the Tesseract, interestingly enough, was the first ever Build-A-Figure for Hasbro Marvel Legends, and it's taken them this long to give us a repack of it or a redo of it. And a lot of the parts are very similar to that original Build-A-Figure. So, but either way,
the original figure was pretty good. To be fair, the original
it was very good. Yeah,
pretty good.
And I haven't got one because it was good. A lot of collectors hold on to it, so it is one that's kind of held its price or stays in people's collections. So, personally, I'm pleased. And the last one that went up for pre-order the day after as well was the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends 3-pack, which I absolutely despised. I'm not going to lie. It was the first time in a long time when I've gone, really? It's one of the only ones that I'm not bothered about picking up yet, because if I get sent it to look at, I'd love to have it, but I'm not going to spend £80, £90 on this box set. Reason being is that you've got Firestar, obviously, and she's on the updated body, so the double jointed elbows, but the heads look exactly the same. The costume looks exactly the same. They've updated her dog to look more like the cartoon version, as in they've painted her differently. They've given us a more cartoony version of the Spider-Man that they seem to be pumping out hundreds of versions of now. And they've given us a cell-shaded Iceman, which was really odd because the other two aren't cell-shaded. So they've
You know why? Come on,
they're going to repack him as a VHS.
There we go.
But the worst thing about that Iceman was that he's on the pizza spider body. So one of the older bodies they've repainted as Iceman. So I was kind of like, it's not even an Iceman that I look at and go, I need to have that Iceman. I was kind of like, you know what, I can pass. I'm good. On top of those that went up for pre-order, you also had the Walmart con as well, didn't you? A couple of days before. And they announced a cell-shaded animated Spider-Man retro card. So essentially a redo of what we had all those a couple of years ago, but it's cell-shaded. So it's not for everyone's taste, but I think it's really cool. And the retro carded lizard as well, which we knew was coming out because they showed that a little while ago.
And for our American followers as well, that's where they can pick up all the Black Panther Legacy Collection, their Walmart exclusives as well.
That's it. No, not all of them are. Only the Civil War one.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Civil War version. The others are regular release, I'm sure of it. Or maybe not. Maybe they are Walmart exclusive and that one is exclusive. No, the Civil War one is definitely a Walmart exclusive because somebody told me.
I know one of them was because it was on the website.
Yeah, it's the Civil War one. It's this one.
Yeah.
Ta-da! This one. This is the Walmart exclusive one because one of my followers said, "Bro, you've been duped. Someone's repackaged, taken the new figure out and put the old one in, and you've bought that." And I was like, "Well, this came direct from Hasbro, so I'm pretty sure they've not figure swapped out." And thanks very much for your concern.
Steve's just messing with you. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing that went up for pre-order as well, at San Diego Comic-Con, was the Loki TV series Tesseract. And
We had the
that's
reissue in the
the one
Tesseract,
there.
actually.
Yeah. So the last time we saw the Tesseract was at San Diego Comic-Con Red Skull box set. I've got it up there, but I'm not going to get down. And they said that this Tesseract has got more kind of white light in it. They said that they've redone it, but when I looked at the promotional pictures of it all open up and stuff, it's essentially the same thing. I can't see, apart from putting a couple more lights in it, I can't see what they've not done anything massively different. But you do get that TVA jacketless Loki with the sword that he gets from Kid Loki as well. So that's definitely a figure worth having. And yeah, I'm sure it'll find its way into my collection. That was all of the things that you could pre-order. The other things that they announced or that they kind of showed off, shall we say, was, I'm just getting the full list up here. You had the He Who Remains figure from the Loki TV show, sandals and apple and all, which is really cool. You had a Sentry figure, which is a well overdue update, but you know what? Mine's up on the shelf and he still holds up. I'm up for the updated head sculpts, but the figure itself still holds up.
Yeah.
You got a What If version of Howard the Duck, which is really exciting because we've not had a Howard the Duck figure since the early days, and he was kind of an accessory piece, like a non-articulated accessory piece. So to have that, and
they've done him dirty, though, haven't they? They've done him dirty, though, haven't they? He's got no lower leg articulation whatsoever. He's just a static figure other than his arms and head.
Doesn't he come with a head of Paul Rudd?
He comes with an animated head of Paul Rudd as well in a jar. Which, yeah, I was a bit disappointed, but at the same token, I was kind of like, you know what?
Yeah, it's one of the ones it's like finally, it's like when they do Spider Ham. You kind of go, oh wow, Spider Ham, and then you go, oh, lack of articulation. But it's the only one I've got, so I'll deal with it.
They also showed us the Fly or the Human Fly and Razorback as well, which are two really random, and they call them deep cuts, where they go for really, really bizarre figures, characters.
On the live stream we were watching, did you hear the content in the room? They even dragged up poor Whoosh. They even dragged him up and went, look, it's Razorback, you're really excited about it, and even he was like, yeah. It's Razorback. He had no idea who that was.
No, I like the deep cuts when it comes to the characters in the Marvel universe, but the scary thing about it is that there are so many potential deep cuts out there that there's a lot of rubbish that they could give us. But
it makes me feel like they're running out of Spider-Man villains.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I do like about these deep cuts is that they're not figures that you're likely going to see reissued. So things like Razorback or things like the Human Fly, you pick them up this time round, you're not likely going to see them reissued again because there's not going to be a huge demand for them. So they do become the kind of more rare ones in your collection. And some of the more bizarre ones in my collection that I'm just trying to think of a couple now. Things like
Hope Summers. Hope Summers has never been re-released ever again.
Yeah, Hope Summers, Machine Man, like things like that. Like that, they're okay. Or Eel, for example, like they're not characters that you would ask for a figure of, but they do become the kind of more selective, more rare ones in your collection. So that's that. They finally gave us Riot and Agony, the last two members of the Life Foundation, the symbiotes, which I found really bizarre. Hasbro being Hasbro, I thought they were just going to bundle them in a 5-pack and go, I know we've given you the other 3, but here they all are together and updated articulation, whatever. But
isn't Agony on the Shriek body?
No, she's on a different in the new body on the double elbow.
It's on the new Shriek body, but
yeah,
isn't it more
Scream,
or less?
No, but Scream isn't. When we got her, she isn't, and she's really difficult to stand. So I think we'll get a reissue of her at some point, possibly a 5-pack. I think.
Looks very similar, doesn't it? It just looks very similar.
I think it'll be like the Children of Thanos, where they've given us bits and pieces here, and everyone wanted the Children of Thanos, and you had to buy like 3 different waves and a Build-A-Figure and all that kind of stuff, or 2 Build-A-Figures. And then a couple of years later, they go, actually, we're going to put them all in a pack together and make them all better. So everyone went a bit mad for them. But either way, it is really cool to finally see those last 2. So it'll make for some good displays and good pictures.
Yeah, Riot. I think I've seen people say on the group they're looking forward to Riot so that they could basically use it as a reissue for Venom, for Monster Venom, and repaint it.
Yeah,
because obviously in the comics, Monster Venom never had the symbol on his chest, did it? It was just the plain black. So this one's more technically in keeping with Monster Venom in the comics. Technically.
And it looks like it's on the same build as.
We're
all yawning. We're like, oh.
I know, we're all tired.
You set me off.
They also, yes, because we've all been up really late. Like, I was up to about 2:30 last night watching trailers. They also gave us a Richard E. Grant classic Loki from the Loki TV show, which is really cool. I was happy
to see that.
I was like, yeah, I'm totally on board with that one. On top of that as well, they showed us a Black Panther, like a classic Black Panther, which we later found out is going to make up part of the Wakanda Forever wave. And I'm pleased that it's not the same as the Walgreens exclusive we got a few years back, because that's one of my favorite classic figures that I've got, and it's the Black Panther with the spear and the long cape, and they've given us that, but they've updated it, and he's got a shorter cape and that stuff. And then I forget the name of the Wakandan kind of police sort of thing, but they're essentially like a white Black Panther, and they come with guns as well, which looks a bit weird, but it makes sense in the comics. But they could use that. That's it. But they could use that mold in the future for a comic accurate White Wolf, because obviously White Wolf isn't Bucky in the comic books, and they could use it for that. So I'm hoping we don't see the end of that. Was that everything? I think that was everything.
That was everything.
And then the only other big thing was the tease at the end, where they teased their next HasLab. And that was to celebrate Ghost Rider's 50th anniversary. We saw HasLab, we saw like a flame background, and we saw the Ghost Rider 50 years kind of logo in, with no other indication of what it is. Mate, there is so many.
No, I mean, as in, like, what would they do? Like, would it be like a Ghost Rider set where it'd be like car, bike, horse, everything Ghost Rider? Would it like what do you reckon we're talking? That's
my guess. So everyone's talking about it being the Dodge Charger, the Hell, what's it called? The Hell Blazer. That's Robbie Reyes's car. And interestingly enough as well, I've got to show you this, that MCU Collector 24 was posting pictures from the Marvel booth, and they teased this, which was like they just put this out in their cabinet, and it's like a chain, but it's a real chain, and it looks a lot like Robbie Reyes's chain. And then the next day there was a tire iron, like a little tire iron prop.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of indications that we're going to get the Hell Charger. Me personally, I think that it's not just going to be the Hell Charger. I think we're going to get the Hell Charger. We're going to get Johnny. We're going to get Robbie. Potentially, we're going to get one of the others as well. There's a few other Ghost Riders out there. They could even really go back and give us like the Phantom Rider with the horse and all that kind of stuff.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah, I think they're still going to aim it for the 350 price range, and therefore, what can they give us for that? Or it will be the Hell Charger and like a garage play set up kind of thing, but then that would be very limited.
Or a cheaper HasLab, a more affordable. Maybe they'll try something different.
I would like that. I would like it to be more at the 150, 200 pound mark.
Play set would be hard at 6-inch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
but not if you did a garage.
If you just did the car.
The car's going to be about this big. The
playset garage, I'm thinking, but you think it's going to be quite large.
No, I think the top would be open, and it would essentially be a floor and 2 walls, wouldn't it, with like a door or whatever. But it would still be a lot smaller than Galactus and Sentinel. So I don't know. I would like them to give us an updated bike, Hell Cycle, and an updated Hell Charger, or an actual Hell Charger, a Robbie Reyes figure, because we haven't had one of them properly. And a Johnny Blaze figure, and then maybe like a whole bunch of accessories. So you get like the cowboy version, or you get Vengeance or something, like all those kind of things. Like there's a lot of possibilities, but it is definitely a HasLab that I'm behind. Even though I have every version of Hasbro's Ghost Rider because he's one of my favorite characters. I'm definitely behind this HasLab, whatever it is. It's going to be a good one. And that was it. That was it for the Hasbro Marvel Legends. And then, like we said, on Sunday they revealed the Wakanda Forever wave, which is cool. Yeah, and that's about it.
But for non-Hasbro, I mean, someone who made a big splash and made a big unexpected, Spanish Inquisition style unexpected announcement was Mattel with their playset of Eternia for the Masters of the Universe line. Getting the Eternia playset, and the thing is, it's not just a carbon copy of the original. So I watched Pixel Dan's video on it, and it's actually been upgraded. It's been remolded a little bit. Been some extra detail into it. I mean, if there is a toy line that has been done right, it is the Masters of the Universe Origins line, because sod me, they have just covered everything. They're even like Sunman territory now. Like, they're doing everything, and to go like, oh, sorry, you want the giant playset? Here's a giant playset. Do you know what I mean? It's like you think about all the other ones where we're trying to go like, not in a horrible way, but it took ages to get half the carbon freezing chamber. We had to buy two of them to get a full playset. Again, display set, I should say, not playset, display set. This is a giant playset because it's got all the features. It's got and it's kind of like, I do sometimes wonder when Hasbro say things like, yeah, we just can't do things like that. And I'm like, but it's Mattel. You're bigger than Mattel, and Mattel are doing it, and for bigger figures than what people are asking for. And it kind of makes you kind of go, could you do it, Hasbro, actually? Because I kind of feel like you could.
Mattel's creation line is doing so well in comparison to HasLab. HasLab might have the numbers, but the success rate of the Mattel version is so much higher.
Yeah.
It doesn't take as long. Like that one they did recently with the Jurassic Park, and it's the dude on the toilet. That sold out in minutes.
Yeah.
You can't get one for love of money now.
No.
It's just it's a dude in a toilet from the first film.
But it's like such an iconic scene.
Yeah, it's such an iconic scene. When you gotta go.
Yeah. It's he's really excited about sitting on the toilet, if you will, if you'll excuse the our parlance. But speaking of Jurassic Park, though, the final season of Camp Cretaceous started on Netflix. I've just started. That dropped the other day. I'm
on the last episode, buddy.
I'm only 2 episodes in, so.
Camp Cretaceous.
It's dropped this week, and I know we have mixed opinions of this because it started off strong, and I know you weren't as a fan of the last season as much, were you, with the robot?
I really wasn't. No.
I'm the same.
I still really enjoyed it.
I dropped off once it got to robot territory. I dropped off.
I'm gonna say though, this season has kind of pulled me back in.
Got a bit dark quite quickly, hasn't it? From I'm only 2 episodes in, and it's like, ooh,
it's
a bit dark.
It's very reminiscent, without giving any spoilers away, it's very reminiscent of certain plot possibilities that I've read about Jurassic World, that they were talking about things that they might do in Jurassic World when the films were first announced. There's elements of that where I'm like, oh, I remember reading that was a potential...
Sort of using unused concept sort of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if that is the case, but that's kind of what's kept me in. And there's certain characters that have kind of come back, and it's kind of pulled me in. And the fact that I know it's the last series as well, I am curious as to where it's going to end. At what point does this end? Does it go full circle? Are they going to cross paths with anyone in the wider universe? Is it going to make sense to anything that's happened in the films? So
excuse me, there's children here that are causing a chaos is what they're doing.
Yeah. If there's going to be a cameo, it's going to be Ian Malcolm. Let's be perfect.
I hope so.
Did anybody catch the announcement for Picard season 3 as well? And it's basically Next Generation, because there's going to be Worf is back in it, Jodie LaForge is back in it, Brent Spiner's coming back, Riker's coming back. It's basically Next Generation. They announced practically everybody.
Will Wheaton's just at home looking at his phone.
They announced everybody but Will Wheaton about his something going, come on, ring me.
Wheaton. You got that, and then obviously Resident Evil started as well. We're also watching that things. Now, Resident Evil is an interesting one as a series because, as we sort of chatted in our little conversations that we have outside of here, I'm enjoying it as a series. I'm not enjoying it as a Resident Evil series. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, like I'm enjoying it as a program. but I'm just not thinking of it as Resident Evil.
What
I'm not
episode are you up
feeling
to?
Resident Evil. I'm on episode 4.
I'm on
3 or
3.
4.
See, I'm near the end now.
Does
You
it
do
tie?
any
Does it
work?
tie more in? Do you get more scenes about Raccoon City as it was?
I'm just joking.
No, but there's more about Wesker.
Yeah, but Wesker's
I'm
not enough
really
to draw
liking
me in.
it. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know whether it's just because I don't know. Of an evening when I'm doing stuff on my computer and that, I'll put Netflix on, and if there's a good Netflix show, that's kind of what I'm into. So things like Umbrella Academy and Resident Evil are my kind of my evening watch sort of thing.
See, I got into it a little bit more since we last spoke, and obviously when I realised that Wesker is the guy from American Horror Story that played Papa Legba. Ever since I've made that connection, I'm kind of like, well, I do like this guy because his voice is awesome. His voice is so melodic.
If I told you that later on you see Matrix star Wesker with the glasses and the leather coat and that kind of that, you see that version of him.
I would have got more excited if you said Jill Valentine shows up.
No, see, but the thing is about this, and I kind of retract my statements from earlier shows about the series, is that this takes place well after all of that takes place. So this isn't it's a continuation, but it's elsewhere. So I'm watching it almost like The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Yeah. So Fear the Walking Dead is never The Walking Dead, and vice versa. But both stories kind of take place, and then there was a crossover. So I think that if this was much more successful, or I don't know how the funding works for it or whatever, but I think that the future plan is in season 2 or 3 or something like that, it will loop round to something.
Definitely not the live action film, because Welcome to Raccoon City, the film they did, which was awesome, by the way, which was basically the first 2 games. That they've already said that is very much its own continuity, and so is the TV. The TV stuff is just its own thing. So it's not got. They've
said that now. I've said that now. Once upon a time, they said that Spider-Man was over here and the MCU was over here, and now look at it.
That's true.
But no, I don't know. I'm gonna see it through, and I kind of got to a point where I was like, what is the Resident Evil show to me apart from a good story with zombies and the Umbrella Corporation, that kind of stuff? So there was elements to it. I was like, this isn't the original games, this is something different, and that's kind of how I'm watching it. I'm kind of enjoying it, but there are certain callbacks to some stuff throughout it. But yeah, there's too much zombie stuff on telly at the moment. I'm a bit done with zombies.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I did forget as well, just going back, like, you know when we said about the X-Men cartoon coming, the new X-Men cartoon coming back 97? Right, and 97, so we're really excited about that, and obviously there's all the rumors about the Spider-Man one coming back at some point as well. Stuff. One that has actually been announced coming back. That is a Disney show. Gargoyles is getting a new season. Now Gargoyles is and that is actually, for me, that's really exciting. I loved Gargoyles as a kid. Keith David is one of my favorite voice actors of all time, anyway, hands down, and his work in Goliath. But basically, Gargoyles was Batman animated for people that didn't watch comic books. That was Disney's attempt at a sort of a serious sort of cartoon series. Gargoyles it was just the nuts, and I cannot wait. I love the fact
if they get
we're getting a new series
over here in the UK, then I'll be more excited, because if they give us a new series of it and then they still can't send us the toys, I'll be like, oh man, really?
I think we'll get I think with the new series that will hopefully be an end to that whole nonsense, because I do think they're doing a new series or something. I think that could be the way forward. But that was really exciting news. Just
while you're talking about TV shows and cartoons and animated series and stuff like that, do either of you gents remember Pirates of Darkwater?
Yeah.
How good would that be for a revamp? Come on, Pirates of Darkwater revamp. Let's be honest.
I'm surprised someone hasn't tried to make it into a live action thing.
I had the ship. I had the whole line of action figures, the good guys, the bad guys, the ship, and everything. Because it was all at like a bargain market stall for like 50p a piece, and my dad just bought me everything, and I was like, oh! But yeah. Anyway, not recently. I'm talking about when I was a kid. Like, he bought it all for me as a kid. But you can pick them up really cheap now. Okay, so before we do end up, there was a couple of other trailers and bits and bobs. Mother of Dragons, Game of Thrones, Mother of Dragons kind of released a trailer. That's coming very soon as well. I I haven't watched it yet, so I can't talk about it. I don't know if either of you watched it, but that is on the horizon. Game of Thrones is very cool. Very cool.
It's just the time commitment.
It is, yeah. You do have to kind of put out a year of
and when
your
there's
life.
Marvel every 3-5 seconds.
You have to put a year of your life aside and don't get attached to any character on it. That's basically the rule.
Do not have any emotional connection to anyone in that show. Like none of them. Pick an orc or something. Pick like an unnamed orc.
Look at that rock. I like that rock. That rock and me are going places.
Oh no, not even the rocks, mate. Not even the rocks are safe.
Oh no, what happens to the rocks?
Turn into zombies. But come on in, Sorrell. Come on, what was your big exciting bit? Because we're all excited for this.
Just because it sneaks out of nowhere. You know when you're not expecting something.
It was so left field.
It was, wasn't it? So AMC said its next big horror thing, because obviously Walking Dead is coming kind of to its end, really, isn't it? I know they're doing a spin-off and stuff of Michonne or whatever, but it's coming to an end. They need a new horror thing to catapult it forward 10 years. So they've gone with Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. Now, for those that know the books, there's about 15 books in that series, because they're not just doing the Vampire Chronicles, they're doing her Dark World universe. So they're going to be touching on the witches of New Orleans. They're also going to be doing the Vampire Chronicles, and they're also going to be doing there's another section that's going to bug me now, but there's a third, and basically there's like all three of it is coming all tied together in one big universe. But most of us remember Interview with the Vampire and Queen of the Damned from his childhood. And the first season is Interview with a Vampire. And it just looks so good. It's all based in New Orleans. And it just looks brilliant.
I think as well, with having a series, you can do so much more. I think that's what when you have these stories like this now, I think there was a time when people would only make movies of some books. But I think a lot of people are now seeing that actually with books where you've got a big universe, and there's so much of it is about like world building and atmosphere, that actually a TV series is a much better way to go. Because as good as much I love the Interview with the Vampire film, I'm more excited for it as a series, I think, than I would be if I saw that they were remaking it as a movie. If that makes sense.
But I think that Marvel and Star Wars television has proved to us that television shows on these properties are much better because you've got so much longer to tell a story. And something like Interview with a Vampire, like you say, Sorrell, where it's so deep in, like, I think if they could go back 20 years, whatever, I think Harry Potter would have been a TV series. I think that they would have done, or at least started off with something that coincided with the movies, just because there was so much potential storytelling within that franchise, the same as there is within Interview with a Vampire, like the Anne Rice kind of chronicles. That to do it as a TV show, it really does give them years worth of content to put out.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong and stuff. I know that when we were growing up and stuff, the film was massive. But to me, as a fan of the books growing up, the film would always be Tom Cruise as Lestat and Brad Pitt as Louis. I could never get past the actors. And then when they put Stuart Townsend in, he was unknown at the time, but it was more about the soundtrack, and Elia was pushed so hard in it. And the fact they made it about the music, not about the story, and it didn't really match the book. So for me, this is like the big thing I've been waiting for since I was a kid, to get proper story.
What was he in afterwards? I'm trying to put him...
Who?
Stuart Townsend.
Stuart Townsend, he went into League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where he played the...
like the mate.
Yeah, he was the guy who looked into... It was, what do you call him? Grey. Something Grey. Dorian Gray. He played Dorian Gray in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Did he do much after that? I don't think so.
Yeah.
The fact that this version of the program is coming out with a lot of unknown actors sells it a lot more for me, because you're not going to look at it and go, oh, it's Tom Cruise as Lestat. This is going to be Lestat, Louis. These are going to be the characters you've been waiting to watch the film about. Yeah,
100% agree. I'm very excited, and even just the contained story of Interview with a Vampire is a brilliant story in itself, kind of from beginning to end. Like just that as even if they weren't going to touch on any of the other parts of it, just that Ryan's doing his teeth. But just that story is brilliant. And
Yeah.
I
from
think
what
that's
I've
the
seen
beauty.
from the trailer,
Sorry.
no, I was just saying what I've seen from the trailer, it really illustrates that story well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so yeah, I think it's going to be good.
I'd agree.
Each book within Anne Rice's with each canon of the story, they do follow on, but they have their own contained storylines. If you read Queen of the Damned, you did. Yeah, it helps to read Interview with the Vampire and the Vampire Lestat, but you don't need to have read it. You can kind of read that as its own book. Same with Interview with the Vampire. If you read Interview with the Vampire and nothing else, it won't matter. So the same with this franchise. I think if you were to watch the first season and then drop off, it won't matter. However, I'm hoping that they continue that going forward because each book was its own individual thing. So I'm hoping that like season 2 will be based on the Vampire Lestat. Season 3 will be based on Queen of the Damned. That'll draw people back in. Then season 4 will be Armand, and they'll basically extend on it season by season as the book, the books did.
That'd be good. That'd be really good.
Because it'll be hard to beat. Because I mean, the original film was like an outstanding performance by Kirsten Dunst as a child actor, and she had to play a grown woman in a child's body, and she was like 7.
And even though it was, it wasn't completely accurate to the book, as you pointed out. Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt were still huge stars at the time, so to have them two next to each other in this film was a really big thing at the time, and it was done very well as a story, as a film.
Didn't Brad Pitt try and desperately get out of it?
I think so, something like that, or maybe Tom Cruise did. One of them did.
I think he was tied in to do the sequels, and he didn't want to after the first film because he hated wearing the contacts and stuff, didn't he? He didn't like the transformation into the vampire bit.
Yeah.
So I think he hated the franchise, and he thought he was going to be tied in for years on end playing this character that he didn't like.
Yeah. But no, I'm very excited for that. I'm really excited for
if you go back and look at the cast listing for the original Interview with the Vampire now, it's insane because it's Kirsten Dunst, it's Brad Pitt, then you've got Christian Slater's in there. There's so many well-known names. Antonio Banderas is in it. Kirsten Dunst is in it. There's so many names in that film now that at the time were all nobodies. Even Indra Ove was in it. And again, it's maybe not a name you remember. If you look at how many films she's been in, she was in Resident Evil, she was in Star Wars, she was in everything. So many people were in that film.
Christian Slater was the one interviewing him, wasn't he?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and then he wants to be turned at the end or something, doesn't he? He's desperate to be turned.
Antonio Banderas was like the French vampire that was like the circus going on in the catacombs that burned them all alive in that room, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was Antonio Banderas.
I'm probably going to rewatch it again now before the
series.
You know what? I was just thinking that, but I'm not. I'm going to wait for the TV show because the film was so good. The story is so good.
Iconic, yeah.
The TV show is going to... I don't want to compare it. I don't want to have to compare it. I'm going to... Yeah. Oh, this is exciting. And the fact
that it comes out for Halloween was the big push for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Comes out in time for
Halloween. Was there anything else massive that we've missed out?
But there's so much.
There was obviously so many other brands that, and even with Hasbro, they had Power Rangers with the Dragon Zord, they had Transformers with various different things.
Transformers had some great reveals.
Anything you want to mention quickly?
Skullgrim was a particular one, which was quite cool. We've got the Velocitron series that they've done, like a sub-series, which is like the Wreckers. They've just got a lot going on at the moment. The thing is, it is hard to sort of keep up with everything going on at once.
And we didn't even touch on any of the DC stuff. Like Black Adam got a trailer, Shazam got a trailer. So really much was going on.
Yeah, there was. But the nice thing is so much has kind of been announced over the last few days that there is content to talk about. These films are coming out. We're just on this particular show, we're just focusing on those areas that we really focus on ourselves, which is Star Wars, Marvel, and whatnot. The other thing as well, just before we do finish with Hasbro, is that they've announced officially their selfie series as well. That was announced, wasn't it?
In the United States, though, isn't it, at the moment?
That's the problem. It's only for Hasbro Pulse app holders in the United States only, but essentially they've got 24 costumes, so things like Mandalorian Warrior and Red Ranger and Iron Man and stuff like that, and you can use the app to scan your face and get an action figure of yourself. Now the only hesitant element I've got of this is that I've had an action figure made of myself, and I know the process that I had to go through to get my likeness into their computer. Like, you know, the guy that was doing it, RDJ Custom Creations, did it for me, and we had to, you know, there was a lot that he was asking for in order to have that thing. It was more than just scanning myself in an app. So they look very good on the shelf and they look very good in the advert. I'm looking forward to seeing when somebody actually has one of their self. Because you've only got to look at paint apps on some of the figures. We could get some real, like...
It reminds me of the time I went to Disney and they said I went to Animal Kingdoms, the Avatar land. And they said to me, you can create yourself as an Avatar action figure and it'll look just like you. I'm like, oh. But bear in mind, the Na'vi don't have beards. And they have very different hair to us. And they're blue and giant. So it'll look like you, but it won't look like you. But would you like to scan yourself in for $150? Yes! Throw out the cash.
They literally just had they've got a box of the same action figure.
And I went through this whole process of them grabbing this scanner and throwing it around my head about 6 times, going, yes, we've scanned you in. We've taken a pretend blood sample and it looks just like you. And then I got an action figure back in 3 hours' time that looked nothing like me.
Where is it? Come on, you can't.
Yeah, we can't see it.
I'll dig it out for next week. It's in one of the boxes behind me. I'll have to dig it out. It looks nothing like me.
No.
And I've got a feeling this is going to be the same process because it's the same thing. It's just take a picture of your face and send it to us and we'll make you a figure.
The thing that I did notice about the process I went through for mine, no, but that was the thing, is because I have got a beard and at the time my hair was shorter, but it was kind of, it had a different shape to it. And we had to go through a real process so that he had all of that. And then he's painting, and he's a custom painter as well. And he does some amazing head sculpt paints and stuff. You know, I know you guys are familiar with RDJ, but if you're not, go and look him up on Instagram. He's a very talented artist. And he hand painted that and did it all and stuff and sent it to me. To mass produce something like, I mean, I know he does it as a service, but that's still one man doing it for one customer at a time.
Yeah.
To mass produce this as a service across the whole of the United States, I just personally don't have faith in it at the moment. I want to see the product.
Agreed.
I had a chat with someone. I'm not saying who, but I had a chat with somebody, and basically, like, my hairstyle of having spiky hair that I would want on an action figure couldn't be done. The fact that I have a beard would mean that my figure, for once, my figure would arrive without a beard because they can't sculpt beards onto the figures, so you would be beardless. So that is like, when you think about it, like, spiked up hair and a beard is my main 2 features. Why would I want this figure that looks nothing like me? It feels very much like the same thing that Disney did in Florida. It's very much a case of, we'll scan it into you, we'll make it look as best like you as we can, but it's not going to be accurate.
But it's interesting as well, because obviously you've got prosthetic. Like, how do they approach things like that? Do they just kind of ignore that and sort of say, "Oh yeah, you got a costume on, like, so you can't see it," or do they think about that for customers that, you know, have prosthetic limbs or have?
I would love that more than anything, but it would never happen. But I would love like to stick a C-3PO leg on my Jedi body would be amazing, but they wouldn't do it just because they wouldn't want to offend anybody. So it would never happen.
No, but see, but I would think that would have been a really good way of approaching it. Is that making it really, don't just do a generic, we can do this. It's a case of what makes you, and we'll sculpt you into a figure. But you've only got to listen to the panels when they talk about, oh yeah, we've reused this piece because you can't make a whole new piece for this particular one figure. So how are you going to do individual figures for every single customer? Like, it's not going to happen.
What's the quality going to be like of the material as well for the head?
Yeah.
I was surprised that the head sculpt itself wasn't like a thing that they make for every individual customer individually. But then the body pieces could be mixed and matched and do things with, like a builder figure.
There's my little guy, and the camera doesn't even do him justice, but it really does look like me. Like, it really does look like me. It's got like the profiles the same, like the hairline and everything. Like I was blown away when it came, and that was obviously the hairstyle I had at the time. But it's even to the extent where, like, how do I say this? I broke my nose boxing, so my nose is kind of one of my nostrils is slightly smaller than the other because I broke my nose when I was boxing. I wasn't a boxer, I did a charity event, but anyway, so
I remember that.
yeah, it's cool. I held myself, I held my rounds, I knocked
you
him
did all right.
down, but anyway, but even to the extent where my nostril on this, my nostrils are the same as my nostrils here. And that's a really, really unique detail. But the scanning was so perfect. This is where you get your Jabba the Hutt out.
I was tempted to, but I was like, no.
But for me, the nostrils are such a specific detail that's picked up on the scanning. That's actually good. That's scare glow.
Yeah.
Turn your light off. If you glow in the dark now, you win the internet. Yeah. But no, my hair was good and my beard was good, and it's hard to show on camera, but my beard is sculpted, so it's 3D printed and it's sculpted. But then having that little detail of my nostrils being the same as my nostrils in real life, I was like, that's unreal. That's brilliant. And my eyes were the same size and stuff. So yeah, it doesn't do it any justice. But if you want a head sculpt, go and look up RDJ.
Yeah, like you were saying, the guy who made mine was my friend Andy, and he did, obviously the head sculpt is basically Kevin Owens from WWE, which apparently I resemble. And but my favorite part was the fact that he did include the prosthetic leg. So he put a C-3PO leg on it and painted it silver. So he did give it for the whole prosthetic leg, which to me is he's one of my followers and stuff. That was the coolest thing ever, that he remembered to put the prosthetic leg on. To me, that meant the world more than anything. No matter what his face like, the fact that you remembered I had a prosthetic leg was my favorite thing.
But that's the thing, is that's getting those details, and that's why I asked about these Hasbro ones, because things like that is what makes a person. It's your unique things that, whatever that might be for somebody, it's those unique things that make something personal, that make something customized. So to have a really generic kind of scan your face on an app as well. And like I said, the process I went through, like I must have done it about 6 or 7 times through different angles and that kind of stuff. I can't imagine like an Apple kind of face scan. I don't know, but the jury's out until I see it. But then the one thing I will say is I know they've got the photoreal technology, and I know that 9 out of 10 times it looks good, but there are still figures that come out where people go, that looks nothing like the actor.
I'm hoping this is going to be something they're going to trial with, maybe like those guys that help them out for HasCon. I'd like to think that they're going to send out like a Shartmus figure, a Foosh figure, a Jacob figure, a SuperSorrell figure, and send them to us all as like
a thing. Mention me once.
Sorry, Ryan.
That'd be cool. Well, I don't even
get nothing from no one.
I haven't had any contact, so I don't even know.
But obviously it's not till October, is it? It's a long time off yet. No, I mean, how cool would it be if instead of getting the big box this year, it was a case of we're going to send you your figure. That would be cool.
That would be very cool. That really would be cool. But yeah, I don't know. Jury's out until we see some in the flesh. But yeah, that was the other big thing. So I suppose that's everything. We've tried our best to cover everything that we could San Diego Comic-Con in relation to Marvel and Star Wars. It was an epic 3 days. It was great to have San Diego Comic-Con back. We have D3 to look forward to. We have Hasbro PulseCon to look forward to. Over here in the UK, we've also got MCM, but I don't think there'll be any kind of big reveals there at all. They used to be. They did used to come over and do them, but I don't think there will be this year.
Ever since they upset the guy from Stranger Things, they've got nothing going on for them now.
Was that the same group?
Yeah, Monopoly.
What did they do?
The guy from Stranger Things, what do you call him? I can never remember the actor's name. The guy that played Eddie. He appeared at London, didn't he? He was abused so badly that he cancelled the whole of their appearances.
The guy who played Eddie?
The guy that played Eddie.
You were on holiday.
He appeared in London. You were on holiday, yeah. He appeared at London Comic Con. He was rushed.
London
Film Comic Con.
That's what I normally go to.
Yeah, he was rushed so much to go through and like take as many photos as possible, and it wasn't a good day for the guy.
They overbooked it by like 3 times the amount of people, to the extent where it was like literally people were being pushed into him, pulled out. Like, and then he broke down on stage and cried when a fan stood up and said, like, we appreciate everything you've done. He had to take something like 900 photos in an hour. Like, it was his first major Comic-Con, because he's obviously just go and
look it up. the amount of things where monopoly groups have called people out online and said, what evidence do you have to support this? And they've just sent them TikToks, pictures, and then MCM just don't know how to answer it now. They're like, they tried to call people out and failed. And it's just so bad that they even attempted to call people out. And it's Monopoly Events that run it. And I know that basically he cancelled, because he was meant to appear in Germany, he was meant to appear in Paris and some other places. He's cancelled all his appearances and said he doesn't want to do Comic Cons anymore because of that London one. He's just cancelled the whole Comic Con appearances, which is a shame for the fans.
Yeah, such a shame. Such a shame. But yeah, it was what it was. But yeah, go and look it up. So that is everything. Didn't mention it at the beginning of the show, but I'll mention it now. Do check out geekweekinreview.co.uk. All the links are on there for everyone's socials, including the show itself. So do go give us a follow. If you're listening, we appreciate you. If you're watching, we also appreciate you. Gents, it's great to have the trio back. Next week, though, I'm away. I'm away on holiday. So I will
it's my turn to make all the jokes about cancelling it and finding a new member and replacing you. I will dial in. I might just kind of swim out in the sea. Swim out in the sea and like film myself. And then you'll say that, is that a fin behind you? And I'll be like, what the hell? Just video of me on the. We're going to need a different Jake.
We're going to need a bigger Jake. But yeah.
Sorry.
Don't. Now I'm worried about going in the sea. You know about that fear. But no, I will dial in. But I will be away. We're away, Son and myself. So it is what it is. It's been an amazing weekend. I definitely need a rest. I've had so many late nights over this weekend.
It's all right. We'll call Vic and we'll have someone pretty to look at next week.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, get Vic in. You know what, actually? In the 3 weeks that Ryan was away, we didn't get a guest host.
We didn't get a guest in at all, did we?
We really didn't. We were going to, and we didn't get a guest once.
But I sent stuff in, so that helps.
Yeah, exactly. Did you actually, I've got to ask before we do sign off, did you bring Darth Maul home?
Yeah.
Is he on your display or is he just in a box?
He's in the other room at the moment with all the stuff I haven't finished unpacking from holiday because it's been so busy. But no, he's going on display. He's going to basically be my new mascot, I think.
Does he move around your flat on its own? You gotta go back.
No, but I do keep finding little handwritten notes written in blood. But I'm sure it's fine. It's just one of those things.
That's all right. Have you checked on your wife in the last hour? Is she still there? Like it's kind of,
No.
Okay, and it was great to have Ryan back. He has now left us. That's right, Ryan. You can come back. There you go. Right, gents, it's been fun. We will see you all next week. Thank you very much for dialing, everyone. Until next week, keep it geek.
The Geek Week in Review.